I was 17 when I got my first job, and I knew from that moment that I would rather take a dump in my hands and start clapping than ever work full time. Let me tell you a little bit about that job. So I got the job through a buddy, and it wasn't that bad when I started because I already knew a few people there, the manager was chill, we kind of just hung out, the work sucks, but it's work, you push through it, whatever, it was fine. But then the cool manager left, and we got a new one, and for the sake of privacy, I'll call her Stinky because she had a pretty noticeable smell. Now, Stinky did not play when it came to her 16 to 18-year-old employees. With the old manager, if nothing was going on, if all the work had been done, you could maybe chill, hang out, talk, go on your phone, do something. Stinky was not like that. If you wanted to do anything that wasn't work-related, you had to be watching over your back because Stinky had eyes on the back of her head. It was a long Tuesday shift where nobody was coming in, and I took out my phone for one moment to respond to a text, and Stinky threatened to fire me. All my coworkers left because of Stinky, but I wanted to be nice, so I kind of tolerated it. I figured, she's just doing her job, I'll put up with it, whatever. I need the paycheck anyways, who cares? But Stinky kept making little power plays that I really didn't like. Like, for example, one time she scheduled me on a day that I had made very clear I was not going to be available on, and when I texted her about it, she got angry at me as if I was pulling a fast one on her. Then, out of nowhere, she stopped scheduling me for a little bit because she said I wasn't meeting the required hours, even though that had never been an issue before. Now, one day, Stinky sent me out to clean around the building. People would litter, just pick it all up, whatever, who cares, I did it, it was fine. But then, lo and behold, I come to find out, once I get back to the building, that my friend who was also on that shift told me Stinky was saying some not very nice things about me while I was out. Literally all of my coworkers quit because of Stinky, and then after that point, my motivation to keep coming back was kind of gone, so I just stopped showing up. I didn't even formally quit. Shortly after that, I graduated high school, and then I went off to college, and I got my second job, which was actually at the school, and this was what really put the fear of working 9 to 5 into me. Because I was working around a bunch of adults. This was my little school part-time job, but this was their serious full-time 9 to 5 career. And everyone there was actually really nice to me, so it wasn't awful, but it was kind of that fake corporate niceness that just kind of comes with these jobs. But this manager was really interesting. He was kind of this spiritual bald dude. He would talk to me about frequencies and stuff, and I didn't know what to make of it. But this guy, I thought he was chill. He betrayed me. I thought he was cool. But then on day 2, I asked for a lunch break like I had on day 1. I was working 8-hour shifts just like everyone else. Why don't I get my lunch break? I got one on day 1. So I asked on day 2, hey, why don't I have a break scheduled here? And he told me that giving me a break on day 1 was him being generous and that I wasn't entitled to one. And so on the morning of day 3, I came to him and I said, hey, I don't think this is right for me. And he basically just told me, yeah, you just started, so you don't have to put in 2 weeks, just get out. And let me tell you, man, that high of quitting a job, nothing beats it. I felt like that scene in Spider-Man 2 where he loses his powers and he's walking around swinging his arms all happy and stuff. But yeah, like I was saying, that job really put the fear of 9 to 5 into me because the fake niceness, the corporate politics, everything about it, saying oh, let's look really good. The vice president is walking in, and every time in the morning we had to go on Microsoft Teams and write good morning team with a smiley face. It was just I felt like I was going to explode. And I did this for 2 days for minimum wage, and that was enough to scare me so badly into never wanting this again. But then, it's time to pick your major in college, and they tell you, okay, well, you could do these things that you're passionate about, but then you won't be employed. Or you could do these things that nobody wants to do, and you'll get a job, but then you'll be dealing with everything I just described for 40 years. But okay, there has to be an alternative, right? You're we can do something else, right? Oh, okay, yeah, look, we can go into the trades, we can go blue collar, my collar's blue, but my neck is red, all that. But then the pay isn't even as good as you would think it is, and the hours are even longer, and your body is going to go through so much stress you're going to be in pain in 50 years. So lo and behold, that led me to an accounting major. So yeah, everything I just described about the corporate world, that is the epitome of my degree. Once I'm employed, I will be dealing with that on a daily basis. I have 2 reasons. 1, I don't want to be homeless, and 2, blue-collar work is not as enjoyable as the internet will make you think. So yeah, that's what led me here. So I've kind of had this fear about the future, about how, everything I hated about that job, I'm signing up for a lifetime of it. But, that's where you have to get creative. That's where you have to think outside the box. And then you realize, you don't need a 9 to 5. And I don't mean just get really lucky with a YouTube channel or an indie film or something. I mean there are ways to break out. The main reason I chose accounting is because you can eventually go freelance in it. Make your own hours, have your own clients, do your own work, instead of getting, treated like a toddler for 8 hours a day. Or you could even just try your hand at a YouTube channel or something. Maybe it'll take off and maybe you can use that as your job. or your last option is really just put up with it. It's what most people end up doing because it is the easiest route to go and it's the safest. And there's nothing wrong with it. I have nothing against it. You know, people who work these jobs, they are the backbone of our society. I'm very grateful for them. I don't want to do it. And when I say backbone of our society, I mean mostly the people doing like actually important things. I think if humanity had like a fallout situation tomorrow, we would not be looking for the internal marketing analysts anywhere. I'm not saying those are the only ways to escape the 9-to-5 life. There are others, but they're all kind of irresponsible for me to advise, so I'm just going to leave them out of this video. Whether they're just not financially great decisions or they're kind of, you know, on the morally dubious side, it's just not worth it. Now you might hear all this and kind of go, you know, what's the big deal? You're sitting in an air-conditioned room all day, you're typing away at a computer, you're fine. And to be honest, that's not a wrong mindset, you're kind of right. And I thought that way too until I had that job. And that made me realize just how bad it can really be. The performing for 8 hours is horrible. At my first job, I was doing actual physical work, and I felt more burnt out by the second job. Like at the first job, it was kind of like, oh, I got that stupid shift out of the way, now I can go like play video games or hang out with my friends or something. At the second job, I got home and I felt like a middle-aged dad. I just wanted to sit on the couch and like sink into it, like fade into obscurity. I don't think I have ever been as burnt out as I was coming home from work those 2 days. The hardest exams in college have not put me through the ringer like that. It just really put into perspective the way we spawned on this beautiful planet with, you know, animals and mountains and nature and trees, and decided we needed like tax and audit. Like, man, I want to go out, I want to see the world, I want to go to Switzerland, I want to go to Brazil. I do not want to sit in an office and be micromanaged by some dude who should have retired like 20 years ago. But you know what? Most people will end up working 9 to 5, so I'm going to give some tips on how to make the most of it and actually enjoy it. 1. Save. Save, save, save. Retire early. Retire as early as you can. Save as much as you can. Still enjoy life, obviously, but please, please save because you will thank yourself later when you can retire much earlier. 2nd, find one chiller. Now, a chiller is someone who works in one of these fake corporate jobs where you have to be like fake nice and everything. Find the one person you can be real with and actually be friends with. It is the coworkers, it is not the work. The coworkers make the job enjoyable. If you can find one that you can actually vibe with, it will be so much better. And it's not even hard. Just find someone. They're probably going to be on the younger side, but find someone and throw out like a, this job sucks. And when you're doing that, you're testing the waters. You know, you're not diving into the 50-foot pool head first. You know, you're walking in through the stairs, you know, getting it on your toes first. Now, obviously, don't do it if they're, you know, the overachiever trying to get promoted, trying to look good to the boss, because then you might end up in an HR meeting. Just be smart about it. But 3rd, and maybe the most important, is make sure you have an enjoyable life outside of work. Do not get home and go to sleep. As much as you want to, go out, do something, work on something, draw, write, hang out with friends, game, do something other than work to ensure that work and life are very separate for you, because if you have a job like that and it becomes your life, suddenly you will not like your life very much. Unless you're weirdly passionate about office work, and in that case, you know, more power to you, man. I am genuinely jealous. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. This was my first video, so I'm sorry if it's a little messy, but you know, we make do. But yeah, I hope everyone who saw this and related in some way, we're all gonna make it. That's all we can hope for. But yeah, that's all. Have a good day.